Family is a word that carries weight, love, loyalty, sacrifice, and sometimes pain. For those of us over 40, we know it's not just the warm moments of shared meals or laughter. It's also the expectations, the unspoken rules, and the wounds that linger. This is the story of Anna, a woman who, at 26, discovered her mother had built a double life using her identity, racking up $43,000 in debt and forging a web of lies that stretched back decades. But more than that, it's a story of resilience, of choosing truth over loyalty, justice over silence, and freedom over fear. Anna's journey is for anyone who's wrestled with family betrayal, who's had to draw a line to protect themselves, or who's wondered if healing is possible after trust is shattered. Let's walk through her story, from a single phone call that unraveled her world to the life she built beyond it.
Anna was 26, living in a modest apartment and working two jobs, when the first call came. A collection agency claimed she owed $8,000 on a credit card she'd never opened. She left, thinking it was a scam. But more calls followed, then letters, demands for payment, threats of legal action. 6 accounts, $43,000 in debt, all in her name. Her heart sank as she pulled her credit report. Her score was a ruin for 117. Loans she'd never taken. Car repossessions she didn't know about. Even a foreclosed vacation home in Florida. Her mind raced. She'd worked tirelessly through college, scraping by on scholarships. Believing she was building a future, someone had stolen it deep down. She knew who, and it drove to her childhood home, her stomach in knots. At the kitchen table, her mother sat, lighting a cigarette. Anna's chest tightened. She'd had asthma her whole life, and her mother knew it. "Did you open credit cards in my name?" Anna asked, her voice trembling. Her mother didn't flinch. She exhaled smoke and said, "I needed it for us. For an emergency. For this house, for your college." "You think all that was free?" Anna's world tilted. She'd worked two jobs through college, convinced her scholarships weren't enough. Meanwhile, her mother had been buying designer clothes, vacationing in Cancun, living a life Anna didn't know existed. The betrayal wasn't just the money, it was the lie that they were a team, struggling together. For those of us who've lived a little longer, we know the sting of realizing someone you trusted saw you as a means to an end. Back in her apartment, Anna dug deeper. Her credit report revealed loans, repossessions, and that Florida vacation home, none of it hers. Her signature was everywhere, forged but eerily familiar. She remembered her mother, years ago, practicing her handwriting on napkins, calling it a game. Anna was a teenager then, laughing, thinking it was harmless. Now, it was evidence. The lies went further. Her mother had joined a country club, spinning a story that Anna was a successful entrepreneur, always traveling, designer bags, lavish trips, all funded by Anna's stolen identity. The hurt wasn't the money. It was the double life. Her mother had built a fantasy, casting Anna as the star without her knowing. For those of us who've carried family secrets, we know they hide behind smiles, waiting to unravel everything. Anna gathered every document, credit reports, bills, forged signatures, and walked into a police station. Her hand shook, but her resolve was iron. The officer listened, then sighed. "Family fraud is tricky," he said. "Most victims don't follow through." And his voice was steady. "I'm not most victims." 3 days later, she met with a detective named Morales. He explained that to proceed, she'd have to declare she was a willing participant, meaning felony charges for her mother, likely prison time. "Are you sure?" he asked. "Once we start, there's no going back." And a thought of her childhood, her mother's sweet notes, leaving dinner when she worked late shifts. They were a team. Or so she'd believed. Then her phone buzzed. A message from her mother. "If you do this, you're dead to me." Anna stared at it. Loyalty to family had been her cornerstone, drilled into her since childhood. But this wasn't loyalty, it was theft. She slid the phone across the detective's desk. "That," she said, "is why I'm sure." For those of us who faced that moment, choosing truth over family, even when it breaks your heart, we know the courage it takes. The fallout was immediate. Anna's phone lit up with messages from relatives she hadn't heard from in years. Her father, who left when she was 3, called. "You don't turn on family." Her aunt came to her apartment, screaming, "She has cancer." She needed the money for treatment. Anna checked with her mother's doctor. No cancer. Another lie. A grandmother she thought was dead left a voicemail. "You're heartless. You're not worthy of our name." Each message was a dagger, twisting the narrative Anna had grown up with. Family comes first, no matter what. But where were they when her mother was destroying her life? The loneliness was crushing. But Anna held firm. She'd been taught to put family above truth, above justice, above herself. Now, she was unlearning it. For those of us who've faced family judgment, we know how heavy that silence can be when the people who should protect you turn against you. As Anna waited in the courthouse lobby for a hearing, a familiar face appeared. Michael, her older brother, gone for 10 years after a fight with their mother. He looked healthy, grounded a stranger. Yet family, how did you know? Anna asked. "I've been monitoring public records with your name." He said, "I've been waiting for this day." At a nearby cafe, Michael showed her a credit application dated 12 years ago in Anna's name. She would have been 14. "You weren't the first," he said. "And if you don't follow through, you won't be the last." Michael's story poured out. At 17, he discovered their mother had taken student loans and credit cards in his name, even his second mortgage. When he confronted her, she convinced their father he was lying. Their dad beat him so badly he landed in the hospital. Anna was 9 then. Her mother told her it was a car accident. Michael tried pressing charges, but no one believed him. A troubled teen against a respected teacher, a struggling single mom. For those of us who felt dismissed or silenced, we know that pain. Michael leaned forward, his voice low. "There's something else," he said. "Something worse than credit fraud." Anna's heart stopped. What could be worse? Michael's words hung heavy. He opened a folder, and Anna's world shattered again. Their little sister, Lily, died at 7. They were told it was a car accident, but Michael had uncovered the truth. In the 6 months before Lily's death, their mother took out 5 life insurance policies on her, worth $2 million, with triple payouts for accidental death. The night Lily died, Michael, then 17, heard her crying. Their mother gave her something to help her sleep. When Michael checked, Lily was barely breathing. He called 911, but their mother had already reported a car accident 20 minutes away. The real ambulance came too late. Anna remembered that night, her mother waking her, rushing to the hospital, sobbing dramatically as dazed cops asked questions. Michael had proof for paramedics' notes, saved for years, detailing the scene their mother made $2 million from Lily's death. For those of us who've lost someone, the idea of questioning how they died is unthinkable. But for Anna, it was real. Then Michael revealed something even more chilling. Last week, he said, "Mom took out a $2 million life insurance policy on you. Triple payout for accidental death." Anna's world tilted. Her mother wasn't just stealing her identity, she was planning to kill her. Anna laughed, bitter and shaking. "Safe," she said. "I'm safe." Her mother was in custody, unable to act. But the realization was a cold weight. The woman who raised her, who left her dinner and sweet notes, had valued her life at $2 million. Michael reached across the table, his hand warm, unfamiliar. "We can stop her," he said. "For good, for those of us who've realized someone we loved saw us as expendable. We know the shock, the betrayal, the resolve that follows." Anna was ready to fight for herself, for Michael, for Lily. Anna faced a choice. Her mother as lawyer offered a plea deal, 7 years for identity theft if they dropped the rest. It sounded final, safe. But it wouldn't be justice, not for Lily, not for Michael, not for Anna. Detective Morales, who'd helped Michael years ago, advised against it. "We're close to proving what happened to Lily," he said. Anna said no to the deal. With Morales' help, they uncovered more. insurance policies in Anna's name, a pattern of fraud stretching back years. Then, a breakthrough. They found the paramedic from Lily's death. Now, a physician willing to testify, even more damning. Lily's original toxicology report resurfaced, showing a lethal dose of sleeping medication. The filed report had been altered to support the car accident story. The DA added charges: insurance fraud, first-degree murder. Anna felt the weight of it all. Justice was close, but it meant facing the full truth about her mother. For those of us who fought for what's right, we know it's never easy. But sometimes it's the only way forward. The trial began in September. Anna testified for 3 days, her eyes locked on documents, not her mother. She laid out the facts: the forged loans, the $43,000 in debt, the insurance policies. She wasn't testifying against the woman who taught her to ride a bike or read bedtime stories, just the criminal who stole her life. Michael took the stand next, recounting Lily's final night, her cries, their mother's calm lies, the ambulance that came too late, the paramedic, now a physician, described a dying child and a mother more concerned with her story than saving her daughter. The defense tried to paint Anna's mother as sick, not evil, claiming Munchausen by proxy, a mental illness that made her harm her kids for sympathy. Psychologists testified, but the jury saw through it. After 6 days of deliberation, they returned a verdict: guilty on all counts: identity theft, fraud, murder. The judge's voice was clear: life without parole. Anna's mother looked at her, her face cold. No regret, just fury. Anna felt relief, not triumph. For those of us who faced a truth that changes everything, we know justice doesn't erase the pain, it just lets you breathe again. The aftermath was quiet but heavy. Reporters swarmed outside the courthouse, asking, "How does it feel to put your mother in prison?" Anna had no words. Michael guided her to his car. The family backlash stopped after the verdict. No more voicemails, no more accusations, just cold silence from relatives who called her heartless. Except for one. Her father showed up at Michael's house at midnight, drunk, slurring, "Stop this witch hunt. Your mother's not a murderer." Michael pinned him against the porch. "Did you know about Lily?" he asked. Their father's face twisted. "She was always sick," he said. "Your mother did everything she could." Michael didn't let go. "That's not what I asked." "Did you know she killed her?" When their father lunged, Michael held firm. "We're not scared kids anymore," he said. Later, Anna asked Michael, "Do you think he knew?" "He suspected," Michael replied, but didn't want to know. For Anna, that was another betrayal. Her father's denial had protected her mother and left her children to suffer. For those of us over 40, we understand how denial can shield the guilty while wounding the innocent. Anna was done with denial. She was ready to rebuild. Healing didn't come all at once for Anna. It came in layers, through small, deliberate steps. She moved to Michael's town, renting a modest apartment just 10 minutes from his family. She started therapy, unraveling the guilt and fear her mother had woven into her life. She landed a job at a design firm, her first step toward reclaiming her future. She stopped checking her locks 3 times before bed. She began to laugh again, truly laugh at game nights with Michael, his wife Sarah, and their daughter Emma. Then she met David, an architect with kind eyes and a gentle smile. On their 3rd date, she shared her story, bracing for judgment. "Sometimes," he said, "cutting ties is the healthiest choice. Families should earn their place, just like anyone else." Anna nearly cried at the table. For those of us who've lived long enough to know betrayal, we understand how rare it is to find someone who sees your scars and chooses to stay. Anna was building a life, not just surviving. She was finding family in people who chose her, not owned her. A year after the trial, Anna and Michael visited Lily's grave. They cleared the weeds, laid flowers, and spoke to her, telling her the truth had finally come out. They started a scholarship in her name for foster children, for kids of incarcerated parents, for those like them who grew up believing love came with conditions. The first recipient was a 17-year-old girl who dreamed of becoming a paramedic. Reading her application, Anna and Michael wept. It was as if they were giving Lily a piece of the future she never had. Anna framed one of Lily's old drawings of her stick figure family under a yellow sun, their names written in childish scroll. She hung it in her hallway, not to forgive her mother, but to honor Lily's memory. For those of us who've lost someone, we know healing isn't about forgetting it, it's about carrying their memory forward in a way that gives you peace. Anna was free, not from the past, but from its hold on her future. Anna's story is more than a tale of betrayal, it's a testament to resilience. She went from a ruined credit score and a shattered trust to a life she chose, surrounded by people who earned her love. For those of us over 40, we know family can be both our greatest strength and our deepest wound. Anna's journey shows us we can set boundaries, choose truth, and build a life that's truly ours. She didn't just survive her mother's betrayal, she reclaimed her identity, her future, and her family in Michael, David, and the memory of Lily. Her story reminds us that healing isn't a single moment, it's a series of choices to put yourself first, even when it's hard. Have you carried a weight like Anna's? Perhaps not as dramatic, but just as heavy? Her courage shows us we can set it down, step by step, and find freedom on the other side. If Anna's story speaks to you, take a moment to reflect. Have you set boundaries that protect your peace? Maybe it's time to check your credit, talk to a therapist, or have that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. You're not alone. Anna's journey reminds us that we are not defined by our past, but by the life we choose to build. She tossed her mother's final letter into a fireplace, watching it burn, and said, "I'm free." For the first time in her life, she was. And for those of us still carrying the weight of family, her story is a beacon we can be free too.